A Fortico security armored truck is ambushed during a routine cash transport. Disguised as a construction crew, the attackers stop the vehicle, draw weapons, and open fire. Both guards are killed, along with several bystanders. The company responds by tightening its protocols. 5 months later, a man named Patrick Hill joins Fortico as a security guard. During orientation, his supervisor, Terry, references the unsolved heist and instructs him to follow procedures without exception. Patrick, quickly nicknamed H, begins training under a veteran guard named Bullet. His early performance is unremarkable. He scores the bare minimum on qualification tests, his shooting accuracy is poor, and he clips a stack of crates during a truck maneuvering exercise. In the locker room, Bullet introduces H to the rest of the team. The reception is cool. A guard named Sweet Boy trades barbs with him almost immediately. Sticky John, who lost his position when H was hired, makes his resentment obvious. Dana, the only female guard on the team, is more measured in her assessment. On his first shift, H rides with Bullet and Sweet Boy for routine cash pickups. Before they leave the depot, Bullet lays out his working philosophy. In this job, they are predators, not prey. During the drive, Sweet Boy mentions that he was originally assigned to the truck that was attacked 5 months earlier. He called in sick that day, which kept him off the truck and off the suspect list. The first collection runs without incident. Back at the depot, H observes the security setup. Reinforced gates, metal detectors, a guard post managed by Sticky John. At the end of the shift, guards remove their ID badges and place them on a board. H lingers after the others leave, taking a careful look at his colleagues' credentials. That evening, the team unwinds at a bar. At some point, the others encourage Sticky John to confront H over his job displacement. H ends it without escalation, then hands John some cash and tells him to get a drink. Bullet watches the exchange and calls him a social wizard. Not a compliment, exactly, but not an insult either. During a subsequent shift, Bullet steps out alone to handle a small $10,000 pickup and doesn't return. Radio contact fails. When a voice finally comes through, it isn't Bullet's. Robbers have taken him hostage. Sweet Boy's instinct is to drive back to the depot, reasoning that the sum isn't large enough to justify violence. H refuses to leave without Bullet and holds his position. The two follow the robbers' directions to an isolated area. When they arrive, a masked robber emerges from a vehicle with Bullet at gunpoint. A second robber orders H and Sweet Boy to transfer the cash into a waiting car. H walks to the rear of the truck and begins moving the bags. He deliberately drops one off to the side. A robber warns him against any tricks. Sweet Boy continues pushing H to comply. When a robber steps away from the group to retrieve the misplaced bag, H shoots him, then immediately takes out the one holding Bullet. A firefight follows. Most of the attackers are killed or disabled, but one escapes into a nearby warehouse. H pursues him alone and corners him quickly. He demands to know who sent the crew. The robber responds with insults rather than answers. H knocks him unconscious. When Bullet and Sweet Boy catch up, H pulls the masks off the dead robbers one by one. None of them are the person he is looking for. FBI investigators arrive to process the scene. They question H about the precision of his shooting, which stands in stark contrast to his range scores on file. H attributes it to the pressure of the situation. The agents show him surveillance footage from an earlier heist, a man firing on 3 victims, and ask if he recognizes him. H says he doesn't. Privately, the agents report to their superior, FBI agent King, that they suspect H may be someone they have been tracking for 25 years. King dismisses it. He describes H as a man who can construct whatever version of himself a situation requires and instructs his team to stand down. In the aftermath, Terry recommends mandatory leave and psychological evaluation, as required by company policy. Fortico's senior management overrides this. Citing H's record of handling volatile situations, they promote him instead. H continues working while quietly running a parallel investigation. He hires an assistant to compile personnel files on every Fortico employee, family photographs, employment records, and autopsy reports from the guards killed in the original heist. 3 months into his tenure, H and Bullet are ambushed again during a routine run. The attackers spray black paint over the truck's windows and mirrors. Bullet radios a red code alert. The robbers force both men out of the vehicle. The moment the crew gets a clear look at H's face, they abort the robbery and leave.
Reverse.
Back at the depot, Terry notes the pattern without explanation. The company's senior leadership instructs him to continue promoting H as Fortico's most capable guard. Bullet, in a private conversation with a colleague, describes H in simpler terms: a dark spirit. Around this time, Dana tells H she has feelings for him. They spend the night together at her apartment. Later, H confronts Dana at gunpoint in the middle of the night. He has found money in her possession and wants to know where it came from. Dana maintains that she stole it during one of her assignments and denies any broader involvement. H tells her he has documented her contacts, including her family, and expects full disclosure. The conversation remains unresolved. The script then moves back 5 months, reconstructing the context behind H's actions. H is spending the day with his son Dougie when he receives a call from an associate named Mike. A surveillance task has opened up near H's location. One of their regular people can't make it. All that's needed is for someone to watch a Fortico truck leave the depot and report which direction it turns. H is reluctant, but agrees. He parks near the depot gate, using a food truck as cover. He tells Dougie to wait in the car while he gets food. From that position, he watches the Fortico vehicle turn right and relays the information to Mike. Moments later, a robbery unfolds a short distance away. The crew is disguised as construction workers. One of them notices Dougie in the parked car and orders him out. Dougie calls for his father. H, still on the phone, doesn't hear him. Dougie gets out and lies face down on the ground. When he turns his head and sees one of the robbers remove a mask, the robber kills him. The 2 Fortico guards are killed as well. H reaches the car moments after the shooting. He runs toward the crew and is shot in the chest. He loses consciousness. 3 weeks later, H wakes in a hospital. He is told his son is dead. Dougie's mother blames H directly, accusing him of indifference and of failing to protect their child. H goes to King, his contact at the FBI, for help identifying the killers. King provides a list of known criminals to investigate. H and Mike work through it systematically, tracking down and eliminating suspects. The actual killer is not among them. Mike eventually proposes a different strategy. H agrees to change his approach. He arranges a temporary return to London, and before leaving instructs his assistant to build a fabricated identity under the name Patrick Hill, including a constructed background in private security. Using this identity, H secures a position at Fortico. In a parallel timeline, 6 veterans, struggling financially and led by their former Sergeant Jackson, form a crew. One of the members, John, pushes the group toward more ambitious targets. They begin with home invasions targeting wealthy residents, then graduate to armored trucks, which require only one inside contact and yield significantly larger returns. Jackson divides the proceeds 7 ways and instructs the group to avoid any behavior that might attract attention. Jan consistently ignores this. On Jackson's birthday, the crew agrees to one final operation, a robbery of a Fortico truck carrying a large payload. They plan to pose as construction workers. On the day of the job, H's car is parked near the site with Dougie inside. Jackson identifies the car as a potential risk and instructs his crew to watch it. The robbery proceeds. Guards are forced out of the truck, and one crew member pulls Dougie out of the car and orders him to the ground. Jan kills both guards when one of them reaches for a weapon. When Jackson asks for a status report, Jan confirms the situation is under control. Dougie, however, has seen Jan's face. Jan shoots him. The crew erupts. Their argument is cut short when they spot H running toward them. One member suggests shooting him in the legs. Jan shoots him in the chest, makes eye contact with him as he falls, and the crew leaves. Months pass. The crew reassembles. Jackson reprimands Jan for the Dougie shooting, which nearly unraveled the entire operation. He then outlines their final target, the Fortico Depot on Black Friday, when over $150 million is expected to be in transit. Jackson describes it as their last job and frames it as the one that secures all of them permanently. At Fortico, Terry briefs the guards on elevated security protocols for Black Friday. Internally, the crew's tensions continue to rise. Jackson grows increasingly frustrated with Jan's spending, which he warns could draw the wrong kind of scrutiny. On the day of the heist, H is paired with Bullet. After their final run, Bullet tells H the truth. He is the inside contact who facilitated the robbery months earlier, the one that resulted in 3 deaths, including Dougie's. Bullet says the guards were always intended to be killed, but the child was not part of the plan. He also tells H that he removed the rounds from H's service weapon. He advises H to stay calm when the crew moves on the depot that day. Bullet disables the truck's cameras and drives back to the depot, where Jackson and his crew are waiting. As H and Bullet enter the facility, a crew member strikes H across the face and tells him to cooperate. Jan and 3 others board the armored truck. Jackson and 1 more crew member follow in a separate vehicle. The truck enters the depot. As the gates open, the crew takes control of the parking area, detaining Terry, Sweetboy, and H at gunpoint.
Behave yourself.
Bullet is made to appear as a hostage as well. Dana, approaching another truck for a routine signature, has no idea what's happening inside. Inside the depot, the robbers restrain H and hold a weapon to Bullet's head while demanding that the vault staff open the reinforced door. Sticky John spots the crew, triggers the alarm, and a firefight breaks out between the robbers and depot guards. One of the robbers places charges on the vault door. The crew sustains light casualties, protected by ballistic vests, though 1 member is critically wounded. The charges detonate, the door opens, and Jackson drives the vehicle inside. The police arrive outside the building. The crew begins loading money and notes they have approximately 8 minutes before SWAT makes entry. They kill most of the depot guards. Dana, Stewart, and another guard named Shirley take cover in the back of an armored truck. Stewart recommends waiting for SWAT. Shirley opens fire instead, hitting one of the robbers. H uses the distraction to draw a concealed pistol, shoot a robber in the leg, and cut himself free with a hidden knife. He unties Terry and Sweetboy, tells them to make their own call, and the 2 exit through the depot's rear. Shirley is killed during the exchange. Dana and Stewart arm themselves and engage the crew. H moves through the depot, disabling robbers as he goes. He takes a helmet from a fallen crew member and puts it on. When one of the remaining robbers identifies him, the shooting intensifies. H faces a heavily armored opponent, exchanges blows, and finds his pistol empty. He draws a knife and kills him. Jackson orders the crew to withdraw with the money. Bullet finds Dana and Stewart. Stewart hands him a weapon. Bullet shoots both of them. He then locates H, shoots him, and leaves him down. He calls out for Sweetboy and shoots him as well.
Come give me a hand.
When the final exchange ends, only Jackson, Jan, and Bullet are still standing. They move to the building's garage to avoid police contact. While Bullet and Jan begin loading money into an elevator, Jackson, wounded and sitting in the truck, levels his weapon at Jan. Jan sees it first. He slits Jackson's throat and tells Bullet that Jackson died from his injuries. They descend through a tunnel to a waiting getaway car. As they load the money, Jan reads Bullet's intentions before Bullet acts. He draws and shoots him. Jan takes the full sum and drives away. Later in his apartment, John pours a drink. A phone begins ringing. He tracks the sound to one of the money bags. Before he can process it, H steps out of the shadows. John offers him a share of the money. H doesn't respond to the offer. He throws a document at John, the autopsy report from Dougie's post-mortem. 4 gunshot wounds, liver, lungs, spleen, heart. Jan looks up. H shoots him 4 times, each one corresponding to the wounds listed in the report. Jan dies. H walks out of the building. FBI agent King is waiting outside. He asks if H is finished. H nods and keeps walking.